My ex-husband showed up to every soccer game with his new girlfriend, so I started bringing his mother. She hates her. So Marcus and I divorced about 2 years ago. It wasn't ugly exactly, but it wasn't clean either. He'd been seeing someone before we officially split, which I found out about 6 weeks after I signed the papers, which was a fun little gift. Her name is Becca. She's 29, she has very long hair and wears the kind of athleisure that costs more than my car payment, which I know because I googled the brand once and then wanted to throw my phone into a lake. We have one kid together, Dominic. He's 9 and plays rec soccer on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., which means I'm standing on a grass field before I've fully processed being awake every single weekend from September through November. Marcus started bringing Becca to games the third Saturday of the season. I noticed, obviously. Dominic ran over at halftime and said dad's here with his girlfriend, like I hadn't already clocked them the second they walked up. I told him that was great and did he want some orange slices. He did. He's 9. But the thing is, Marcus kept doing it every single game, like clockwork, and he'd position them right across the field from me, which meant every time I looked up to watch my son play, I had a clear sightline to Becca doing this thing where she leans into Marcus's shoulder and laughs at everything he says. I'd watch her do it and then I'd watch Dominic score a goal and not look over at her once. I didn't say anything to Marcus. We have a co-parenting arrangement that works fine as long as we keep our interactions short, so that's what I did. But I started dreading Saturdays, like actually dreading them. I'd wake up and my stomach would just drop. About 6 weeks in, I was on the phone with Patricia, Marcus's mother. We still talk, which I know sounds strange, but she's been in Dominic's life since before he could walk, and she's one of those people who just decided the divorce wasn't gonna change that, so she calls every week and I let her, because honestly, she's better at this than most people are. So I'm venting a little, not completely, just enough. I say, I'm just tired of watching Becca perform at me across a soccer field every Saturday morning. And Pat goes quiet for a second and says, Becca, does she have the long hair? I said yes. Pat says, just that, just. So I asked if she'd ever met her. She said yes, twice at dinners Marcus had arranged. I asked how it went. She said, she told me that crystals have healing properties and that Marcus's childhood attachment style was the reason for the divorce. I said, do you want to come to a soccer game? She said, what time? And honestly, I didn't think it through beyond that. She came the next Saturday, wore this enormous green parka, brought a thermos of coffee and set up her folding chair right next to mine. We were chatting, watching Dominic warm up. When I saw Marcus clock her from across the field, he did this double take, like an actual double take. Then I watched him say something to Becca and I watched her neck go stiff. Pat waved at him. Big, cheerful wave. He waved back because what else are you going to do? At halftime, Marcus came around the side of the field by himself. He crouched down to talk to Dominic for a minute, then stood up and came over to us. He said, Mom, I didn't know you were coming. Pat said, I didn't know I had to check in. Is there a schedule? He looked at me. I looked at the field. He said, okay, and went back. Dominic's team won 3-1. He scored once and looked up at the three of us, me, Pat, and Marcus across the way, and held up one finger like, yeah, that was me. Pat yelled, that's my grandson, loud enough that a few other parents turned around. In the car afterward, Pat said, she didn't say a single word to me the whole game. I said I'd noticed. Pat said, she spent 20 minutes on her phone. I said, she does that. Pat sipped her coffee and said, Marcus looks tired. She's come to every game since. Last Saturday, he showed up without Becca for the first time all season. Didn't say anything about it. Just stood across the field by himself and watched Dominic play. Pat noticed. She leaned over and said, 11 games to figure that out. I didn't respond. Dominic was already sprinting toward the ball.